Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Open, and thank you for coming out. Thank you for listening to me. I'm going to know you've seen the title is Jealousy Part 4 Progression. Um, Progression instead of conversion. Want to ask everyone to hit that like button on the way in. Appreciate you. Um, and today, what we'll be doing is we'll be going into Genesis again. We're still on the story of Joseph. So in today's session, we'll be going into part 4 of Joseph's story, and we'll investigate how Joseph chose to continue progress of his purpose instead of succumbing to the hatred of his detractors, to now progress to the highest status he's had in his life. So for this session, we'll be studying text from Genesis chapter 41, verses 14 through 16, um, and still in the same chapter, verses 25 through 37, and then finishing up with 38 through 45. It'll be all be in Genesis chapter 41 today. Peace, everyone. Peace, El Grande. Peace, DJ Nav. Peace, Shing, Shang, and peace, Agon. Thank y'all for coming out. All right. So I'll get started here. Um, basically, so starting with Genesis chapter 41, verse 14. Then Pharaoh sent and called for Joseph, and they hurriedly brought him out of the dungeon. And when Joseph shaved himself and changed his clothes, making himself presentable, he came to Pharaoh. Uh, this part right here, this introduction right here, lets you know that even though Joseph had been in prison, that his attendants that he had called to get Joseph let you know that he was automatically, his status was going to change. He was no longer just going to be some prisoner, um, because they had him shave himself and change his clothes, making himself presentable. I mean, if he was going to die, there'd be no need for that. So this lets you know he was automatically going to be elevated, because of the progress and the success he had already. So starting with 15, Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is no one who can interpret it. And I have heard it is said about you that you can understand a dream and interpret it. Joseph answered Pharaoh, it is not in me to interpret the dream. God, not I, will give Pharaoh a favorable answer through me. I'm going to stop here for a moment to point out something. I want to interject here to state that this last verse is subtly used by these jackleg preachers, or is called in the Bible false prophets, to emotionally trigger the ignorant, blind, dumb, and foolish sheep to follow them without question to their slaughter. But in First Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 20 and 21 states, do not scorn or reject gifts of prophecy or prophecies, meaning words of instruction or exhortation, warning, but test all things, or anyone claiming to be a prophet carefully, so that you can recognize what is good. Hold firmly to that which is good. Um, I wanted to point that out because we all know here that you got so many of these people claiming to be, we've seen it here in this space, we've seen it in our everyday lives, claiming to be something that they are not. And all the while, they're actually doing things uh, against what they say they are and what they're doing. Um, and it ends up causing problems for you. Like I said, it ends up leading sheep to the slaughter. They're using you for their own benefit, and just to send you to your death, to your own destruction. Uh, so when people say, that there are no aspects of science in religion, this right here just goes to prove that that's actually false. Um, Science talks about testing things to make sure that they are what they are. This verse right here says that you should test everything. With someone who claims themselves to be a prophet, you should be testing it to make sure that they are who they say they are, that their track record is what it is. So moving forward, before I get started, verse 25, I just wanted to say that in between these verses here, all this is Pharaoh telling of the two dreams that he had, and I'll be going into Joseph's interpretation after this is where I'll be going in, but I'll be starting on Joseph's interpretation because I mean this all is pretty long, but I'll be going into his interpretation, just kind of filling in for here. So at verse 25, Joseph said to Pharaoh, the two dreams are one and the same and have one interpretation. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. The seven good cows are 7 years, and the seven good ears are 7 years. The two dreams are one and the same. The seven thin and ugly cows that came up after them are 7 years, and also the seven thin ears dried up and scorched by the east wind are 7 years of famine and hunger. This is a message just as I have told Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. uh Hold on. Just lost my place here. Okay. Verse 29. Listen carefully. 7 years of great abundance will come throughout all the land of Egypt, but afterwards 7 years of famine and hunger will come. And there will be such desperate need that all the great abundance of the previous years will be forgotten in the land of Egypt as if it never happened. And famine and destitution will ravage and destroy the land. So the great abundance will become forgotten in the land because of that subsequent famine, for it will be very severe. That the dream was repeated twice to Pharaoh and in two different ways indicates that this matter is fully determined and established by God, and God will bring it to pass very quickly. So now let Pharaoh prepare ahead and look for a man discerning and clear headed and wise, and set him in charge over the land of Egypt as governor under Pharaoh. 34. Let Pharaoh take action to appoint overseers and officials over the land and set aside 1/5 of the produce of the entire land of Egypt in the 7 years of abundance. Let them gather as tax all the fifth of the food of these good years that are coming in store of grain under the direction and authority of Pharaoh, and let them guard the food in fortified granaries in the cities. That food, oh, hold on. Yeah, that food shall be put in storage as a reserve for the land against the 7 years of famine and hunger which will occur in the land of Egypt, so that the land, meaning the people, will not be ravaged during the famine. Now the plan seemed good to Pharaoh and to all of his servants. So now I'll be reading and finishing up with verses 38 through 45, and then after that I'll open up the barbershop talk to that way we can talk about this. So beginning with verse 38. So Pharaoh said to his servants, can we find a man like this, a man equal to Joseph, in whom is the divine spirit of God? Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, since your God has shown you all this, there is no one as discerning and clear-headed and wise as you are. You shall have charge over my house, and all my people shall be governed according to your word and pay respect to you with reverence, submission, and obedience. Only in matters of the throne will I be greater than you in Egypt. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, see, I have set you in charge over all the lands of Egypt. Then Pharaoh took off his signet ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand and dressed him in official vestments of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. He had him ride in his second chariot, and runners proclaimed before him, attention, bow the knee, and set him over all the land of Egypt. Moreover, Pharaoh said to Joseph, though I am Pharaoh, yet without your permission shall no man raise his hand to do anything or set his foot to go anywhere in all the lands of Egypt. All classes of people shall submit to your authority. Then Pharaoh named Joseph Zaphanath Paneah, and gave him Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On, as his wife, and Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt to inspect and govern it. that's where I'll be finishing up for today. Um, yeah. Salute Blaze. Salute everyone. Thank you, Ice. Everyone, thank y'all for coming out. Dorian, Smooth, Melody. Uh, appreciate y'all. But yeah, this was to point out that everything that Joseph had been through before this, all his detractors and haters, everyone throwing shade on him, trying to stop him from progressing, but him choosing to focus on his purpose instead of choosing to focus on his detractors, it kept him from being converted into what they were trying to, what his detractors were trying to convert him into. They were trying to stop his progress, but he stayed on his progression. He stayed focused on his purpose, and he elevated himself. And he ended up, because of everything that he had done, everything that everyone had seen, how everything he had touched, everything that was under him in his care, it progressed and it prospered. Pharaoh got word of this and saw that putting the people, putting all the stores of food and everything that was needed at this time under his instruction was the best thing that could happen for his kingdom and for him. So his progress, his choosing to focus on his purpose caused him to progress, to the state that he had dreamed of and had told his family about previously, that they would be bowing to him, and others would too. This just goes to show that whenever you focus on your purpose and focus on progressing, focusing on that purpose instead of the problem, it's better for you than anything. It basically, it keeps you from being cancerous. It keeps you from being what people are trying to make you become, like them. We all know that misery loves company, which is why, I had for the thumbnail for this, the serenity prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. It's important to know that we can't change other people, but we can change ourselves, and the other things that we can change, that we can directly influence. And the most important part of that is the wisdom to know the difference between the things that we can change and the wisdom to accept the things that we cannot change, but just influence the things that we can change, which first and foremost are ourselves. But that's all I have for this time. I want to thank everyone for coming out, and I'll be starting up the barbershop talk on this here in a few minutes. I'll end this. I want to thank everyone for coming out. Just keep all these this information, keep it to heart. Like I said, I want to provide information that we all can use to apply to our everyday lives. Thank y'all, and peace, everybody. Oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Thank y'all. Oh, and thanks Grande for posting the link to the barbershop conversation. Thank y'all. Peace.